السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله. أدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. وبعد، إخوتي الكرام، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما قال سبحانه: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. اللهم ارزقنا الإخلاص في القول والعمل. آمين يا رب العالمين. If I ask you this question, brothers, how you define a Muslim? And sometimes we say that a Muslim, a good Muslim, a true believer is a person who prays 5 times a day, who fulfills the pillars of Islam. And sometimes we undermine what is called حقوق العباد. We have 2 types of right: حقوق الله and حقوق العباد. The rights of Allah and rights of people. And it's so important to keep eye on both, or to keep ourselves up to the mark in both حقوق الله and حقوق العباد. Remember this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, the person most closest to me on the day of judgment will be a person who has the best of akhlaq, the best of manners. Talking about huquq al-ibad, there is one thing, and that will be the topic of today's khutbah. If we can use that, or if we are careful of using that blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can control so many things. Or sometimes the disunity or the evil that we see in the society, this thing can be one of the major cause or major source of that, and that is the tongue. This greatest blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a blessing, but at the same time it's an amana. The ni'mah, the blessing, comes with responsibility. How we are using this ni'mah, this blessing of tongue. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ عَيْنَيْنِ وَلِسَانًا وَشَفَتَيْنِ. Imagine if we don't have tongue, how we can express ourselves. A person has mahabba, has love for the deen, but he cannot be a Muslim, he cannot become a Muslim until unless he pronounced the kalima, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله, with his tongue. It's a great ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal. But at the same time, one of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this will be one of the major reasons for the people to be in the hellfire. So we have to use this ni'mah of tongue in a way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned many hadith when it comes to the tongue, this ni'mah of tongue, the ni'mah of lisan. In one of the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا يستقيم إيمان عبد حتى يستقيم قلبه ولا يستقيم قلبه حتى يستقيم لسانه. The faith of a person cannot be straight until his heart is straight, and his heart cannot be straight until his lisan, his tongue is straight. Every morning, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a son of Adam wakes up, إذا أصبح ابن آدم أصبحت الأعضاء كله تذكر اللسان أي تقول اتق الله فينا فإن استقمت استقمنا وإن اعوججت اعوججنا. Every morning when the son of Adam wakes up, all the body parts, they humble themselves in front of who? In front of lisan, in front of tongue. It says اتق الله فينا. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding us. Because if you are straight, everything else, we all will be straight. وَإِنْ إِعْوَجَجْتَ إِعْوَجَجْنَا. If you are crooked, then everything else will be crooked. Sufyan ibn Abdullah al-Thaqafi radiyallahu anhu, once he asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what is something that you think I am in most danger of? Or I can be guilty of the most? فَأَخَذَ لِسَانَهُ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam held his tongue and he said, هَذَا. This. Be careful of this. How you are using this ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, مَنْ كَثُرَ كَلَامُهُ كَثُرَ سَقَطُهُ وَمَنْ كَثُرَ سَقَطُهُ كَثُرَ ذُنُوبُهُ وَمَنْ كَثُرَ ذُنُوبُهُ كَانَتِ النَّارُ أَوْلَى بِهِ. That whoever talks more, he makes more mistakes. And whoever makes more mistakes, he will have more dhunub, he will have more sins. And the person who has more sins, he deserves the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most. And look at this, the words of wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Man samata naja. 3 words. Man samata naja. Whoever practices the silence, samt, naja, he will attain the salvation. And the beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, ألا أخبركم بأيسير العبادة وأهونها على البدن الصمت وحسن الخلق. Should I tell you something? And he called it ibadah. He called it ibadah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. ألا أخبركم بأيسير العبادة. Should I tell you a ibadah, a kind of worship which is so easy, and so easy on your badan also. It's not that hard on your badan physically as well. وأهونها على البدن الصمت وحسن الخلق. Observing the silence and showing the best of the akhlaq, the best of the character. And when we talk about the ghiba, Backbiting, normally we use three terminologies. One is the ghiba. And how we define the ghiba, how we define backbiting, as we mentioned, the dhikruka akhak bima yakra. That you mention your brother in a way that if he hears, he dislikes. That's a simple definition of ghiba, of backbiting. Dhikruka akhak bima yakra. How many times we sit in a gathering and we talk about someone else without even realizing that we are talking about someone else, a brother or a sister, and when he or she will hear about that, how he or she will feel it. So Rasulullah that's why he said, or how we define the ghiba, dhikruka akhaka bima yakra. Another term that we use is called the slander, buhtan. If a person doesn't have that shortcoming and we are talking about that, it's higher than ghiba even, it's buhtan, slander. And then another term that we use is the namima. You hear a shortcoming of someone, a brother or a sister, and what do? You go to others and inform them about as well. This is called the namima. Talking about some of the punishments of a person who practices the ghiba, backbiting. In this dunya, one of the punishment that person will have is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes that person. And you know, brothers, what happens when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes someone, He calls Jibreel alayhi salam. And He tells him that in Allah yabghud fulana. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Jibreel alayhi salam that I dislike so and so. And then Jibreel alayhi salam makes his announcement that in Allah yabghud fulana wa fulan. Allah azza wa jal dislikes so and so. And then the announcement is being made to this dunya as well. So that's the first punishment a person gets, the person who is involved in backbiting. Another hadith of Rasulullah that he mentioned, he was addressing the companions, Ya ma'ashar al-muslimin. And then he told them that those of you who uttered the kalima, and it did not dissolve in their heart, be careful that when you are talking about others. Be careful when you are talking about the shortcoming of others, the aib of others. You see a shortcoming of someone and you end up just telling others without any reason. And look at this last part of the hadith. Rasulullah said the meaning of the hadith, that if a person does so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will expose him, even if he commit a sin in the middle of his house, thinking that no one is watching him. He is hiding himself from everyone, but Allah will expose him if he is the one who tells others the shortcoming of someone. Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah, he says that the ghiba is the iman of a person, faith of a person, as the worms eats the dead body. And that's why, brothers, sometimes we don't feel the khushu' in salah. We don't feel that khushu', that connection in our prayer, in our ibadat. This ghiba, this backbiting can be one of the source that we are not realizing that we are involved in it, and we end up when we stand up in the salah, we don't feel that khushu', we don't feel that connection in the salah as well. How about the punishment in the grave? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, famous hadith, once he was passing by a grave, and he told the companions that the people of these graves are being punished. And if you put those two ahadiths together, there are three main reasons that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that why they were punished in the grave. The first was the ghiba, the backbiting, the namima, and the third, that they were not careful in cleaning themselves. When they used to use bathroom, they were not careful in cleaning themselves. So these were the three main reasons for those people getting punished in the grave. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went on Isra wal Mi'raj, he saw a group of people. They had the copper nails, and they were scratching themselves and their chests. So he asked sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Man ha'ula'i ya Jibreel? Who are these people, O Jibreel? So Jibreel alayhi salam told him, these are the people who used to backbite in dunya, and this is the punishment of them in the akhirah, on the day of judgment. And I'm sure you heard this hadith many times, brothers. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Sahaba, Man al-Muflis? He asked this question, Man al-Muflis? Who is Muflis? Who is a poor person? So the Sahaba, they said the poor person is someone who doesn't have money, who doesn't have house to live. He is a Muflis. So what Rasulullah said, the muflis, the bankrupt of my ummah will be a person who will come on the day of judgment. And his account of good deed will be so high. He was so perfect in huquq al-ibad. And he will have so many good deeds on the day of judgment. But what will happen? On the day of judgment, a person will come and will say, oh Allah, He did this to me in the dunya. Because everyone will know on the day of judgment. So he will complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what will be the most important thing or precious thing we will have on the day of judgment will be our good deeds. So Allah Azza wa Jalla will give His good deed to that person to settle the matter. But what will happen? Another person will come. And the people will keep on coming, and his good deeds will be given to those people until his account of good deed will be zero. But still people, they are coming. Now what will happen? That their bad deeds, their sins will be given to this person. And Rasulullah said, this is muflis of my ummah. This will be the muflis of my ummah. This is the real poor guy. This is the real bankrupt of this ummah. A person who was so good in huquq al-ibad, but he was lacking so much in huquq al-ibad. Next time when we sit in the gathering, brothers, make sure that we are observing this. And by the way, what we can do, what should we do if we are sitting in a gathering and we are talking about someone else? What should we do? This is the right of your Muslim brother. This is the right of your Muslim brother to defend him. If someone is talking about someone else who is not present there, what you are supposed to do? You should immediately stop that person. You should defend your brother. Even though maybe in reality also this whatever they are mentioning is in him, but still you should defend that person. You should advise the gathering if you can. And if you cannot do all of that, then it's better not to be part of that gathering. Because then you both are equal. If you're listening, and sometimes, subhanAllah, we become so normal in our gatherings now, talking about someone else. And we enjoy it so much. But remember, on the day of judgment, that person will claim. Let me conclude this khutbah, inshallah, with a couple of hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One time, the Sahaba, they were sitting. And just imagine for a moment, Sahaba, they are sitting with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ مَنْ يَدْخُلُ مِنْ هَذَا الْبَابِ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the person who is going to enter now from this door is from Ahlul Jannah. He is one of the people of Jannah. فَدَخَلَ عَبْدُ اللَّهِ ibn Salam. A Sahabi named Abdullah ibn Salam, he entered. And one of the narrations says it happened thrice. So the Sahaba, they were very smart. So one of the Sahabi, he said that, let me see what he does. What is the good deed something extra he is doing. And based on that, he has that level that in this dunya, Rasulullah said he is from Ahlul Jannah. The Sahabi ended up spending a night with that person, with that Sahabi, but he did not see anything extra. Any extra ibadah that he is performing. So in the morning, he told him the real thing. He said, the reason I spent night with you because I wanted to know what is something extra that you are doing. And Rasulullah gave you the title of Ahlul Jannah. So he said, you saw me, I don't do anything extra. But then he mentioned two things, brothers. He said, one is that when I go to sleep, I make sure that I forgive everyone. I don't keep any malice, any hatred for anyone. And I make sure that I forgive everyone before I go to sleep. And the second thing he mentioned, that I use my tongue wisely. Subhanallah. Tonight, when we go to sleep, practice this. Make sure that, any family member, although that individual was wrong, even though we forgive others, why? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ثَلَاثٌ أُقْسِمُ عَلَيْهِمْ. I take oath, qasam, of three kind of people. And one of them, he said, the person who forgives other out of the love for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise his status. So we do that for the sake of Allah. We want the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the second thing he said, I use my tongue wisely. Let me conclude the khutbah with this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that can be one of the things that you can take from this khutbah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina, fa inna ar-rajula qad yazni wa yatub, فيتوب الله سبحانه وتعالى. وإن صاحب الغيبة لا يغفر له حتى يغفر له صاحبه. سبحان الله. الغيبة أشد من الزنا. Rasulullah said the ghiba, backbiting, is worse than adultery, worse than zina. Why? فإن الرجل قد يزني ويتوب فيتوب الله سبحانه وتعالى. If a person commits adultery, zina, and he turns back to Allah, asking for forgiveness, and he is sincere in that, Allah will forgive him. But if a person is involved in backbiting, Allah will not forgive that person until that individual forgives him. Until that person forgives him. It seems to be a bit difficult in this dunya, brothers, asking for forgiveness from someone. But subhanallah, how about on the day of judgment? When that same individual will claim your good deeds, which one is worse? Although it seems to be a bit difficult in this dunya, but wallahi, the very first thing that you will get, if you practice that, if you just pick up the phone and talk to that individual, saying that I forgive you, please forgive me for the sake of Allah. I did ghiba in your absence. I did backbiting. The very first effect that you will have will be the sweetness of iman that you will feel. And subhanallah, how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with you. And on top of that, that person will not claim it on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us among those who use their tongue in a way, their lisan in a way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الصمد القادر الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. قال سبحانه: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا مالك الملك، نسألك بأسمائك الحسنى وصفاتك العلى ألا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا كربا إلا نفسته، ولا مبتلا إلا عافيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا ميتا إلا رحمته، ولا دعاء إلا استجبته. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى. اللهم اجعل آخر كلامنا من الدنيا شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله، وتوفنا وأنت راض عنا بغير غضبان. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وارحمهم كما ربونا صغارا، وارحمهم كما ربونا صغارا، وارحمهم كما ربونا صغارا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.